Our next guest was referred to us by our first interviewee, Kiersey. He is a local W-2 truck driver, fuel hauler, and night riding specialist who also runs his own YouTube channel with over 17,000 followers and 275 videos. The content is centered around showing folks you can make decent money in this business, but his videos range from making sure folks are going to the dentist, riding his motorcycle with his wife, and letting all the folks not working through the holidays know that we're a bunch of slackers. You can follow him at Dirty Broke 215. Thank you so much for joining the Domiciled podcast, Lonnie Stevens. How you doing, my man?
Hey, man, I'm doing great, man. Appreciate you guys having me.
Absolutely. Our pleasure. Our pleasure. Paul, I know that you've taken a look at his channel a little bit. You've got some questions for him. Kick it off. Get it going for us, Paul. Ask Lonnie the first one.
Absolutely. Well, Lonnie, it's great to meet you. First of all, I see 215 in the in a lot of your username. Are you is that Pennsylvania?
Yep, Philadelphia.
Yeah, no
Born and
kidding.
raised. Yep.
No kidding.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Yeah, I went to school for a bit outside of in Doylestown, Pennsylvania.
Very familiar. Mm-hmm.
Which is definitely not the city. I think that's actually
No,
the
it's not.
capital of people
Mhm.
saying they're from the city, and then they're actually
Mhm.
from the suburbs.
Yeah, right.
But beautiful area for sure. How'd you get into this?
Into what, trucking or the
Trucking.
YouTube thing? Trucking. I'm third generation
Really?
truck driver, so yeah, it was just something I thought I had to do. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's like as a kid going to work with my dad. It's like, okay, I guess I'm going to drive a truck too when I get old enough. And that's just pretty
Yeah.
much what it was. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. So I mean, my experience has been, with working and talking with folks in the transportation space, drivers seem to be like their own breed of people.
Mm-hmm.
And they seem to have, their own, they're really resilient, right? You go through,
Mm-hmm.
you have such a cyclical market, you go through so many ups and downs, and sometimes it's completely separate from, what's on the news about the economy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, how do you, over the years, how have you kind of managed in some of the low points, and then have you taken advantage of it in the high points?
Yeah, well, it can be difficult. Trucking it's rough, man. I'll tell you, and I don't think a lot of people understand the one thing about trucking. Actually, most people that try this actually fail at this. They do not
Okay.
succeed at this. And
Okay.
a lot of people don't know that this is a very hard thing to do. The lifestyle of it, and I'm a local guy. Just being local, it's just rough.
Yeah,
Because you're working crazy hours, usually early in the morning and long shifts. It's just it's hard to do, man.
yeah. I think
So.
there's something about uh, jobs that have like a lower barrier of entry. I
Mhm.
imagine if you go to work for someone, right? I've never done it myself, but
Mhm.
it might not be the hardest thing in the world to find a company that's hiring for somebody. I'm sure with a lot of folks failing at it, right? I'm
Mhm.
sure companies are hard up. Hey, I've seen the advertisements here in Chicago. Hey, come work for us. We'll get you a CDL, right?
Mhm.
We'll do anything we can to get drivers, and those signs never come down,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
So, you know, uh, having a barrier entry to that, it reminds me a lot of sales.
Mhm.
I've heard people say that, as long as you can tie your shoes, you can
Mhm.
get a sales
Yeah,
job,
that's
but
yeah, it's
you
pretty
can't
much
always
like
keep it.
trucking.
You can't
Mhm.
always keep it, right? So how have you been able to keep it?
Just first you got to be flexible. You got to learn to do some of the things in trucking that other people are not willing to do. And that'll get you to some different money. Better money and things like that. Like for me, I transitioned into fuel hauling. A lot of people
Mhm.
don't want to haul fuel. They think it's very dangerous, stuff like that. Of course, you got to go get endorsements and all that. And most people, when they come out of CDL school, they just get a regular Class A and they get into a box truck with a mega carrier and off they go.
Mhm.
And pretty much you're going to be stuck there if you don't, get something specialized. And I always try to promote that. Do something special. If you do something special, you can get some special money. If you
Mhm.
do general, you're going to get general money. It's just that
There
simple.
you
It's not
go.
that complicated.
Yeah, it
Tale as
really.
old as time, right?
Hmm.
So yeah, you make yourself different, make yourself unique. So Lonnie, in that
Absolutely.
respect, yeah, in that
Hmm.
respect, what made you go into the fuel hauling side, or how much of an effort is it to become specialized from your normal, dry van driver? Not a
Well,
knock at them, but just to become specialized.
Well, just to attack what you said first, what made me go into it was actually just seeing how clean fuel haulers were. Because I'm driving my truck, I'm doing my thing, and the kind of work I did was dirty. Where trucks are dirty all the time, I'm dirty all the time. And one time this guy caught my eye. I mean, he got out of his truck, got a button-up shirt, truck is shining. I was like, damn, he's got to be making some money. I mean, the guy's sharp, truck sharp. I said, I need to try that. And
Yeah.
at that particular time, I was making decent money when it was consistent. And that's the thing about doing other kind of freight. A particular kind of freight I was doing was very inconsistent. And it seemed like gas was very consistent. So I said, let me give that a crack. And that's pretty much the way I went. Mhm.
Was it a hard process to do? I mean, you said that it's like, people are afraid of it, but when it came down to getting the certificates and getting your, getting your licensing to do it, was that as hard as most people think it is, or did it turn out to be really straightforward?
Well, it's funny you say that. Back then, it was a little harder because you actually had to read the book. Now with this modern technology, everything's on an app. They got the shortcuts to everything. It's like boop, 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 that you can
There you go.
test yourself. Before, when I had to study for my test, I'm in the book. I'm like this,
Yeah.
book this thick, and you got to go through it. And you actually had to read everything. Now you just go put the app on your phone, answer a few questions, and you go take the test. So they really made it simple to do now. So it's not difficult now to do it.
Okay.
If
And you
it's so
said that.
easy.
Oh, go ahead, Paul.
I was going to say,
Mhm.
if it's so easy, do you think it's just fear? Like you were
Yeah,
saying earlier, it's just, I don't
absolutely.
want to haul something flammable, or I'm worried
Yep,
about.
yep. In most cases, that's what it comes down to, in my opinion. Because when I talk to people that say they don't want to do it, they say, "Oh, I don't want to drive with a bomb on my back." And I tell you, if you're scared of this, don't do it. Go do something else.
Sure.
Yeah.
Is it is it
I
as
would,
dangerous as people make it sound, or is it just like anything like that's dangerous, right? I mean, walking outside is dangerous. Is it just a matter of being smart, being safe, or is it a much higher risk given, of course, you're hauling fuel? But
I mean, you're hauling flammable, so you want to be more conscious of it. But in my opinion, I don't think so because I think I was just born to do this. And people that haul fuel that do this, we don't even think about it.
right,
It's only the
second
people
nature.
that don't want to do it that get real scared about it. But it's like, no, man, it's just what we do. It's no
Gotcha.
big
That
deal,
was
man.
Danielle,
Yeah, that was
what's
my
up?
grandpa's first. He hauled fuel first.
No,
His
smart man.
his CB handle is Super Shell.
All right. Shout out to him.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, Danielle's probably the most qualified of the three of us. So Paul and I we cut our teeth in freight as brokers, right? And Danielle's, I mean, I'll let you say your piece, Danielle. Third generation logistics, dad, uncle, grandfather, bull haulers turned freight, moving freight. But Danielle, yeah, talk to Lonnie a little bit about that. Maybe you guys can
Okay.
throw some stuff back and forth.
I mean, you just said it all. All my bullet points.
Oh, I'm
Hmm.
just trying to give the high level. Shoot,
Yeah,
Hmm.
Lonnie,
thanks.
you ever meet a bull hauler?
I never really wanted to do it because, like I said, I don't. My name is Dirty Broke, and I'm just the opposite. I don't like to do anything dirty. Like I like
I was
when I
about to
truck,
say
I
it's
like to stay
very
clean.
dirty.
Yeah, I
Very
know, I
dirty.
know. I see them guys, and I know guys that do it, and I was like, nah, I'm good. I'm good. I park next to the guy sometimes at the truck stops. Those things smell like you wouldn't believe.
Oh, I can't
That's
believe it.
not
It's
for me. Yeah,
awful.
yeah,
Awful.
yeah.
Oh
No,
my
that's not.
gosh.
It's not my life. Nope. I want to stay clean. I want to stay on the asphalt. I don't want to be in the farm in the backwood. I like to stay on the asphalt. I'm an asphalt
The city
cowboy. How
boy,
about
the
that?
city man.
Hey,
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
I
asphalt
have a
cowboy. I like
question
that.
for
Yeah.
you.
Mhm.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Is it true that I should not fill up with gas when the truck is pumping fuel into the tanks?
Nope.
It's a myth.
What? Wait. What? You mean your personal car?
Yeah.
If no, I never heard that before. Like if
Uh,
I'm dropping fuel and you're trying to get gas in your car,
yeah.
no,
I
no,
always avoid
no,
those gas stations. If
no, no,
huh,
no. Just do your thing. That ain't gonna bother you. If we're
a lie my
mm-mm.
whole life. I
Yep.
don't know whoever told me that, but I believe
But
it.
don't top off, Danielle. Don't top off. When it clicks, it's done. That's it.
Yeah.
No, I
Just
will
one click.
never.
Done.
I can't. I
Oh
try to
man.
get it to eat like the on the dollar.
Mm-hmm.
I'm that person.
Oh, gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
You can just prepay. I want $20.
No, that requires me to go in and talk to someone.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also not gonna do
Oh,
that.
So Lonnie, so I mean, obviously, bit of an elephant in the room. What, with everything you've got going on, why the YouTube channel? What made you get into that?
I stumbled in this YouTube trucker space, and I come from a motorcycle background on YouTube. Like
Okay.
I'm into motorcycles, Harley
What kind
Davidsons,
of motorcycles?
Harley Davidsons.
Okay.
We fix them, we ride them, we race them, all that kind of stuff. But and I stumbled in this YouTube trucker space, and I remember watching a guy, and they were talking about how you couldn't make no money local driving a truck. That's all I ever done was local. I've never been over the road in a truck. I never slept in a truck. I never showered at a truck stop. None of that. So the people I was started to follow on YouTube, their experience was totally different from mine. You know, so I just said, you know what? There's a lot of misnomers out there about being a local trucker. So let me give my experience, and that's why I started my channel, just to show guys that no, you can actually make good money doing local trucking, but you're probably going to have to do something specialized. And
There
that's
you
why I
go.
started the channel. So just
What's
to
it
let
been
guys
like?
know.
What's
What's
it
that?
been like? What's it been like with you said that most of the information that was out there was, hey, I'm not being successful. What was it? What was kind of the reaction like? Uh, when you started putting out information like, hey, I'm doing this, I'm doing all right. It's not rocket science. Here's how to do it. Is there any positive reaction? Have you ever gotten folks write in and say, hey, I wasn't doing this right, and I figured out, I went out and bought a reefer trailer, and now I'm doing X, right? Or now I'm hauling logs. I live in Carolina. I was doing drive-in. Now I'm doing lumber, and there weren't a lot of lumber folks, so I stay busy. Thank you. Has anyone ever had that kind of reaction with you?
Yeah, actually a lot of that. And also, like, I've been doing this for just about 15 years now, like the same exact thing. And the time I've been on YouTube, and some of the same people I watch, they done so many different things, just trying to figure it out. And I try to tell them, like, you're not going to beat this consistency. I don't care. And I'll debate anybody on this. I've been saying that since I've been on YouTube. I do the same exact thing every day, the same time.
Yeah.
I go to work the same time. I come home almost the same exact time within minutes.
Yeah.
That's how regimented it is. So when you and in trucking, and you guys know you're in the freight broker business, trucking, it could get very inconsistent. So when you can find some consistency, man, I don't know how you compete with that.
Yeah. I mean, typically, I think over the road, I think, contracts and things like that. And I think of brokers, you mentioned you've never done over the road, but
Hmm.
what's your experience like, actually getting customers, right? Like having those conversations, getting a place to work, right? You're either an owner op or you're working for somebody. What's your experience talking to other folks about how to get into that, whether they're an owner op or they're working for somebody, right? Because I think over the road, you think brokers, you think, how do I find freight, right? You're working for
hmm
someone, it might not be the case, but for folks that are owner ops, have you had an experience meeting folks like that and hearing how they
Yeah.
kind of?
No, I talk to them all the time. Like, we do this thing called like my YouTube channel is called the Track Podcast. How
Mhm.
that name started because what we do, we talk on the phone all night long. I talk to so many different truck drivers because I'm a night rider. You've seen it in my title, Night Rider Specialist, because I teach guys how to ride at night. They usually call guys like me because I ride at the same time every night,
Mhm.
and it's easier for me to do it because I do it the same time every night. If you're over the road, your hours are all over the place. So you're going to
Hmm.
always be tired. So they usually call me. They call Dirty. Oh, Dirty he'll get me 300 miles a night. Just call me and we'll ride and we'll talk junk on the
It's
phone all night
BS.
long. And I get you where you got
Nice.
to go, you know? And but as far as being an owner operator and you're trying to catch freight, it gets very difficult to do. And especially in this time, in this climate, in this market right now,
Yeah.
with freight rates being the way they are, you guys know the deal. So
Hmm.
and I heard a lot of struggle stories, and I was like, man, I don't want no parts of that, man.
I mean, you see massive carriers and even brokers shutting down left and right. And luckily, the
Left
three
and
of
right.
us are in the luckily the three of us are in the tech space now, right? Again, tales old as time. You start as a freight broker, you pound the phone, then
Hmm.
it's time to get the heck out of Dodge. And like
Hmm.
in our case, right, our equivalent of becoming a fuel hauler, it's like more consistency, get into tech, better pay, become specialized, right?
Mhm.
So given that your job's so consistent, one of the things we are interested in learning is some of the stories you guys interact with, and not interact with, but the stories you guys come across, see, experience. Because one of the things that we realized when talking about this podcast and what it was going to be about, and of course it's still forming,
Mhm.
was that logistics folks have stories of dealing with carriers, drivers, crazy shippers, whatever it might be. But you all experience it. You're there. You're on site. You
Mhm.
see it every single day. And we don't even know all the stories. But then your average Joe, like my neighbor, right? He's a carpenter, he's a general contractor.
Mhm.
He has no clue about this subculture that exists, and he sees going by him every day, and people don't even notice. So
Mhm.
we'd love to hear some of the interesting things you've come across. Again, good, bad, crazy, unbelievable, and
I
other
mean,
what hit us.
the craziest thing, and this was just recently at my truck stop,
Uh-huh.
someone got killed.
Oh,
Yeah, somebody
while you were there?
unalive, I guess I should say. I wasn't there, but my daughter was there. I was actually on the phone with her when it pretty much happened, and she was freaking out. She's a fuel hauler too, by the way. Shout out, she's fourth generation truck driver.
That is
But
so
anyway,
cool. Can
yeah,
I
yeah,
meet her?
absolutely,
Yes.
absolutely. Yeah,
I
I'll
love
hook
that.
you guys up if y'all want to talk to her. But that's probably one of the craziest things that happened, and I'm trying to calm her down because this literally just pretty much happened like right in front of her at the truck
Oh
stop,
my
and
gosh. Okay.
it gets pretty wild, man, because people, we're in a crazy world now, man. So you got to be careful out there. And I ride at night, so all the crazies come out at night. So
Nothing good after
yeah,
midnight.
I mean that's probably the most craziest thing that I experienced since I've been hauling fuel. But you see all kinds of things going on at the truck stop. You name it. If
Hey,
you
it's
think
cool if you
about it,
tell
yep.
us.
Yeah.
Because I've heard some, like I've had I've had stuff like there was what are you supposed to say on YouTube, unalive, that
Yeah,
happened
right.
on a yard. So my load didn't I'm like, I'm calling the dispatch, I'm like, where's my truck? And he's like, this happened on our yard. The cops lined the whole thing off. No one can get there. So like
No, yeah.
again, you
Mhm.
name it. Again, tell the folks. What
Yeah,
else?
I
What else
mean,
you got?
everything happens. I mean, accidents all the time. I mean, some of the stuff is like it's normal to me because it happens all the time. But for other people, it's like, oh damn, that really happened. I was like, yeah, like every night. Like,
Yeah,
somebody's getting a truck hit, guys are, almost getting into fights, sometimes really getting into fights, really putting hands on each other, just people screaming and hollering inside the store. You get all kinds of people that have all kinds of medical conditions in the store that's mental and things like that. I mean, the theft that goes on at these truck stops, it's crazy. Like you wouldn't believe the theft that goes on in these stores. It's insane. Um, uh,
Yeah, because
drug use,
drug use. Yeah,
because you get a lot of, people just moving around, traveling all over the country. So you get all kinds of people. I mean, you name it, man. You get all kinds of people that you run across. Like it gets crazy, man. It's almost like a TV show.
yeah,
I
yeah.
Mhm.
believe it.
As a fuel, so you're mostly delivering to, I imagine, and this is me not knowing a lot about that space. I
Mhm.
imagine you're picking up from a depot that holds fuel and you're delivering
Mhm.
to whoever, has an order for that week or that day. And I'm sure you probably do the same ones, but it sounds like you're mostly delivering to gas stations, things
To
like
to to truck stops. I just go to
truck
truck
stop.
stop. That's it. I
Okay.
don't go to mom and
Oh, okay.
pops. I go to the truck stop. So I'm
Oh, so
there
you see
every
other
day.
drivers. Yeah.
All the truck drivers and everybody's uptight, man. Everybody's in a rush. It's rare nowadays to find somebody, that's polite. Everybody's usually
Really?
pissed off. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Is that more
hmm
of a recent thing, or is that kind of across the board since you've been doing this?
I seen it just changing gradually, you know. Like the longer I've been in it. When I first started, it didn't seem as bad, but it seemed like it's getting a lot worse, So
Why do
yeah,
you think that is? Because I know people
it
do
just
seem tense overall.
yeah, you know what? And I think that has a lot to do with it. I think it's just people just in general, like we don't like each other, man. I don't it's crazy, man. Like I don't get it. Like people do not like each other, man.
Mhm.
I don't know what we turn it into, but it's just saying like people don't want to hold the door for you. Like I see people like I walk into the door, they'll hurry up, squeeze in just so they don't have to hold the door. I'm like,
It's yeah.
okay, like it's crazy, man. When somebody actually holds the door, I'm like, oh damn, thank you. You know what I'm saying?
Funny, that
But
just
yeah.
reminded me, Lonnie. I was with my girlfriend. Actually, she's from Montgomery County, outside of Philly.
Oh, yeah,
She
that's where my
she
mom
grew
and
up.
dad were born there.
Oh, no kidding. All right, cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
she's Puerto Rican gal. She keeps me in line for sure. But so
Mhm.
speaking of keeping people in line, we were at a Wawa down the street. I'm in Clearwater, Florida. Opened the door for this young lady, and she's probably about my age, 30s, right? She walks in because I was always taught to hold the door, and she looks me like in the soul, Lonnie, like in the
Mhm.
soul, and she goes,
Mhm.
"Thank you." Like, thank you. Like no one's ever held a door for her in her life. Like, she meant it nicely, but she was very aggressive about thanking me.
Mhm.
I was like,
Yeah, yeah,
"You're
yeah,
welcome. Have
yeah,
a
yeah.
great day." Like, what would happen
Mhm.
if I didn't hold the door, man? Like, shit.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah. She probably would have snatched like, "Get back here, hold that door for me." You know what I'm
She would
saying?
have put my head in the door so it could have held open for her.
Yeah,
Made you
yeah,
door.
Oh, okay.
yeah,
So,
but at the truck stops, man, we see all kinds of stuff. I mean, police all the time, something's always going on. Somebody's always arguing, fighting, somebody's truck is getting hit, like you name it, man. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like people get inconvenienced that other people exist. I noticed that here in Chicago. It's like so like people walk
Absolutely.
outside. We live in this massive city, and people walk down the street like, man, I can't believe I'm not the only one on this street. And you're like, what?
Absolutely.
There's so many
Absolutely.
people here.
There's so many people, and you're always in somebody's way. It's like, oh,
Yeah,
oh, excuse me. Like, damn. You know what I'm saying?
exactly. Yeah, I mean,
Mhm.
my only thing is like slow walking, like slow walkers.
oh
Like
man,
Uh-huh.
forget
that's
it.
the only one I can't handle. Like if I'm trying to get somewhere, I'm
Uh-huh.
short enough as it is. Like it takes me a long
Uh-huh.
time to get somewhere. And
Mhm.
if I'm like, if you're slower than me at 5'8",
Mhm.
I'm looking up like this, like, are you gonna go? It doesn't
Mhm.
usually
Mhm.
vibe too well. But yeah, I think you got a really good point. I wonder how much of that I read all the time about the freight fraud and theft and things like that. And I'm realizing talking to you, it's probably not the same for fuel because it's such a regulated space. I
Mhm.
can't imagine you could make, I can imagine people making clothes disappear, but I can't imagine a fuel tanker disappearing.
That's like some
Yeah,
Hollywood stuff.
and especially with the technology now, like, I don't think you'll get far,
Mm-mm.
with the tracking and everything we got, and particularly with trucks we run, there's cameras all around, 360 cameras, driver facing,
Really?
road facing, down the sides, in the back, like,
Oh,
they can
true.
find out where the truck is at like that. You know what I'm
Low
saying?
jack,
So,
yeah, low jack or whatever it is now.
yeah, all that, so,
Yeah. Sounds like
yeah.
that would
Like
really
I
help
said,
accidents.
yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Because drivers don't
And
always respect you guys on the road at all. I see it all the time where someone pulls out and then goes, "Oh, I know what I'll do in front of this 18-wheeler. I'll brake." That's what
all
I'm
the
gonna
time.
do.
Yeah, and you would think when they see a tanker, there'd be a little bit more caution. Nope, they don't care.
Mm.
Gotta get around him
Dumb,
all the
No.
dumb.
time, man, all the
Yeah.
time.
How
Yep.
do you typically handle that on the road? Like, is it something that, drives a little fatigue from having to constantly watch how others are driving with them not really understanding what you're hauling and necessarily not really
Mhm,
caring that you're this massive piece of equipment that's going
mhm,
pretty fast. And I don't know the math, but when mass starts moving, it's usually hard to stop.
mhm. And, how I typically handle it, I'm just always expecting them to do it, whatever that is. Like, I see them coming in it, nope, they're gonna come, you
Mhm.
know? So, I'm always on alert that they're gonna come. I'm always driving defensive like that. So, when you kinda expect it, that kinda, keeps you safe.
Like
Because the
assumptive
minute
that
you let
somebody's
your
gonna do
guard
something
down,
stupid.
absolutely. Like I'm in my mirror, they tailgate, and it's like he's getting ready to go around me. He's getting ready to do it. He's getting ready to do it, and he does it when we get ready to go around the curve. I'm like, bro, you should have did it back there when we
Yeah.
had the straightaway. Now as we're going around the curve, yep. And I had it happen to me going around the curve. Guy slid, hit the guardrail, and went up against my tanker. And
Oh,
yep,
Damn.
yeah, yep.
how do you handle
They
that
do it.
after the fact? I mean, I imagine that's a lot of paperwork and a bunch of other things.
Yeah, and he took off running too. So the guy took off. He got out of the
Physically
car. No,
running.
no, no, no. What happened was the car, he tried to drive away, but the car was disabled. So he
Yeah.
drove it a little way and it gave out, and he was on the phone, and somebody came quick. So I don't know how he got a hold of somebody that quick. And they came, he jumped in the car with them and they took off.
Because like the
So,
tag's not tied to him or anything. Unless it was stolen.
so it's like, yep. Yeah.
Oh,
So
people are
that
dumb.
was crazy. Yep. Yep. So I was like, oh well. So state police came out, took the report and all that, and that's pretty much it. Looked over my truck. It was still drivable, and I just went back to work.
There you go.
That's all you can do.
Do you have more being in a fuel tanker, right? You're not a 53-foot van. Do you have more
Mm.
visibility? Is it like are your blind spots a little less ugly than say a track trailer or like a dry van? I guess
Actually,
what I'm trying to get at.
no. The technology we have in our trucks, we got cameras inside the truck, so I can
Oh,
actually see down the blind spot. So
heck
basically,
yeah.
what happens is if I put on my right turn signal, the camera will light up on my
Gotcha.
console there and show me the right side of the truck. So
Like a
it's really nice now.
okay, so like
Yeah,
passenger vehicles, you've got all the same stuff, the newer ones. Yeah. Okay.
exactly. So we got all the technology. The truck slows you down on its own. All
Really?
that fly stuff. Yeah,
Oh wow.
That's crazy.
yeah.
And this is your truck or the company's truck that
It's
does
a
it?
company truck. I'm a company driver.
Oh,
That's
okay.
Now I used to be a carrier. I used to have my own trucks. Me and my wife, we ran our own trucks for a lot of years down there
Oh
in
wow.
Philly, and I got out of that just because of the inconsistency. I just couldn't like I could make a good week and then the next week bad. It was like it was just too inconsistent. And trying to raise a family on inconsistent money, it gets me and my wife we're at it. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Because when there ain't enough money there, it's gonna be some fighting. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's tough. That's
So I was
tough.
like, no, this ain't gonna work.
So you're dealing mostly with brokers when you were back then, or were you
No,
handling like how'd you
actually,
do
I was fortunate. Everything I did was direct. I never had to deal with a broker.
how'd you pull that off? A lot of people, I know really struggle to find or build relationships. Yeah, how'd you approach that? That's really
See,
awesome.
and that's the thing about relationships. And this is one of the things I preach on my channel. Building relationships is the most important thing you can do. It's the relationship, and how you do that, you talk to people. Like I talk,
Hmm.
anybody knows me, I talk to any and everybody. I want to know what's going on. I'm nosy. I need to know what you guys are doing. You know, what did you eat last night? Like, I need to know all this,
Uh-huh.
so I can send you some flowers so we can build a good relationship. You know what I mean? So you're going to remember me. When we get done talking, you're going to remember me. Like, man, that guy dirty, man. I remember that guy,
I love it.
and basically how I got into it was through my father. He basically knew everybody. He was the same way. Me and him were pretty much the same. And he just knew everybody. But he
The
wasn't a
mayor.
businessman. So I just took it and turned it into a business. I'm like, well, everybody, and we're trucking, and all these guys that own their own companies that need equipment moved and stuff like that. So I just started talking to them. Hey, man, you need a truck. You need that moved. Oh yeah, and then it just pretty much went from there.
So it just
That's
came from you being straight up and not being afraid to ask questions and
Mhm.
go up and say,
Yeah.
"Hey, what do you guys do over
Oh
here?"
yeah, yeah. And to be honest with you, a lot of these guys knew me since I was a kid because my dad used to take me to work with him. So as I
perfect.
got older, I started, of course, thinking about money. How do I get this done? And they already knew me. I was like, hey, Lonnie, you want to? Yeah, yeah, I want to work. Yeah, all right. Get your truck and come work with us.
That's awesome.
And that's it. And that's
I
pretty
love it.
much how it started.
Yeah.
And then you
So
meet this person, and of course, this person knows that person, and it just kind of go from there.
Yeah, it just keeps,
absolutely.
yeah, it's like a spider web, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And then,
Yeah.
5 years later, you run into somebody and you're like, wait, how do I know you? Oh, yeah, you're such and such and such and such.
Absolutely. It was always, oh, you're Hamburger son. That was my dad's nickname, Hamburger. Oh, you're Hamburger's kid. Yep, that's me.
That's me.
And they were more inclined to do business with me just through that relationship.
That's what it's all about. I mean,
That's
so
it.
coming into that, I mean, do you feel like you hit the jackpot? You know,
Absolutely.
you got to, right?
Absolutely. Man, I was born on third base when it come to trucking because I hear all these stories. These guys had to go to the trucking school and share a room with three other guys. And in the truck, my experience was nothing like that. I was trained by my dad. I never went to truck driving school. He just trained me in the truck and went to the DMV and took my license and I was off and going. So my experience was nothing like most of these guys that enter in trucking now. And actually you got to
So
go to school now because when I started, you didn't have to go to school. You could just study the book, go to the DMV, just like with your regular driver's license. That's how I
Mhm.
got my license.
and then with your daughter wanting to become a driver, like what was that like when she decided? Like, tell us the origin story of that. How did it come about?
Man,
Your initial feelings, thoughts.
I didn't expect it, right? She was she was always outgoing like I was, but she didn't come into trucking right away. And she went off into nursing. She did her thing in nursing,
Okay.
graduated school, and she did and went to graduated college, and she went to the nursing field. Like all the women in my family are in that field, in the medical field. So she
Okay.
just kind of went into that field. So then one day, I think my wife told me, she said, your daughter wants to drive a truck. I was like, what? She want to drive a truck? Let's do it. You know what I mean? Let's make this happen. So,
There you
and
go.
I got a video with her on my channel. You guys can check that out. And how she just came straight in, leapfrog a whole lot of people. She didn't have to go over the road. Like people say, oh, you got to go over the road if you want to come local. Mate. No, we ain't do none of that. I brung her straight in. Soon as she got her license, she went to school, got her endorsements, and I said, "Don't worry about it. Do your part. I do my part. I get your job here," and that's just how it happened. And when she
Beautiful.
applied, I let her do it on her own. She applied. Of course, they denied her. So I called the recruiter up. I said, "Hey, you know that girl you just denied?" He was like, "Yeah." I said, "That's my daughter." He said, "Oh, I'm sorry, Lonnie. We'll get her." There you go. It just worked like that.
Why do
That
you
nepotism is
decline her?
real, man. It works
It is
because you
real, and
didn't
it
have the
does work.
experience. It
Yeah.
works.
Okay, so it's an experience
Yeah.
thing because that's the
She didn't
whole
have
have to
experience.
do
Yeah.
over the road, blah blah blah. You're like, no, I got you because of the
She was
connections.
right out of school, don't even have driving experience. So she basically came here learning how to drive and doing fuel. And people's like, you can't do that. I just showed you could do it.
Yeah, again, nepotism is a beautiful thing.
It's a beautiful thing, man. I know when you can't take advantage of it, you hate it.
Yeah.
You
Like
know what I
anything,
mean?
right?
Yeah,
Like
like
anything
anything
you
else. I'm
can't
like,
do,
look,
can't
well,
have. Yeah, you get green.
there you go. But that's why I try to tell people build relationships with people and people can make things happen for you. If you know somebody, you can get further a lot quicker than trying to learn it on your own. Like, I don't care how long you went to school, how much education you got. If I know the guy doing the hiring and the firing, I'm going to go right past you.
Mm-hmm.
That's just the
100%.
way it works.
Yeah.
100%.
Every time in my career I've ever gotten a little bit further, it's because I was nice to somebody 4 years ago and someone was looking for someone that did something.
Mhm.
And sure enough, there I
Yeah.
was. And
Mhm.
'Cause
it's,
I
I
was a
agree with you
recipient of that.
100%. I agree with
Mhm.
you 100%. It's more so who than what.
Absolutely.
Oh, it's
I mean,
100%.
that's
But I
how I
mean,
came. I came into the industry the same way I brought my daughter in. It was just through my dad. It's like, that's my kid. Oh, went to work. That was it. And the
yeah, there
guys,
you
they
go.
resented that. The older guys that was there, it's like, hey man, how the hell you do that? I was like, it is what it is.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean,
Plus,
she
you're already
probably
in. What do
loves
you want?
it, though.
Yeah.
She probably loves doing that, right? Because I mean, you get
Oh,
an
she
opportunity
absolutely
to
love
do
it.
something and skip the line. You're usually real grateful that you're
Oh
there.
yeah. Oh, absolutely. And she hears the horror story. She's like, "Oh man, Dad, I didn't know." I was like, "Yeah, all you gotta do is just listen and look at him crying." You know what I'm saying? Yeah, yeah. And I poke him,
Oh,
I jab him, but it's all in fun because not I don't go nan at a boo boo because I actually try to
yeah.
help them. I was like, listen, if y'all want
Yeah.
to do this, I can help you do this. Now, and if you
Mhm.
don't want to do this and you keep crying over there, then I'm gonna poke fun at you.
Yeah. And it's so true, Lonnie. It's because like again, people, oh, I want this, I want that, and we're all guilty of it, right? Like, do you want it,
Mhm.
or do you want to put the effort in to get it? Because those are
There
two
you go.
completely different things, and we're actually learning that
Definitely.
with this podcast. Like, it's been something I've wanted to start for a long time, and
Hmm.
like this is like our third interview, right? This is brand new to all of us. It's like this is a lot of work. Like it's a lot, but like it's it's just so much fun that it's like, all right, let's do this. Let's put in the work because getting to talk to folks like you, getting to put it together and see something you
Hmm.
created on the internet. Same for your YouTube video. I'm sure that's not small potatoes. Like the editing, the music, again,
Hmm.
any of it,
Well,
anything
I'm gonna
worth
be
doing. Sorry.
honest with you. I don't like the editing. I was like, I hate the editing part. Some
It
people like it;
takes
they're good at it.
forever.
It's too time consuming. It doesn't make sense to me. Me, I do a title, I turn the camera on, and I go, and then I turn the camera off, and that's it.
Is it
And
what you
people, because
record, is
I've
what you
seen
get?
people say that's what you, and I know people say, you got to do the thumbnails and this, that, and the other. Like I've seen channels do it without all that.
Yeah.
They just
Mm.
turn it on and go.
See,
I see
that's
people
what I
got
told Scott.
big channels doing it off their phone. They don't have fancy this and cameras and that. No, right off their phone.
Absolutely.
Interesting.
So if
Yeah,
people
we're
gonna like
figuring
you,
some of this out.
gravitate to you. I don't care what you're doing. They just gonna come gravitate to your channel if they like your content, the product
Hmm.
you're putting out there. They just gonna come.
Absolutely,
Hmm.
absolutely. Oh man. Well,
Yep.
Danielle, I heard you jump in. You talk about editing and all that. Any
Yeah,
questions for Lonnie? You've been very patient over there.
well, I'm on mute because I'm driving. I'm also going around Nashville. So at
We won't
rush
tell your
hour.
dispatcher. It's all right.
Shout out to Nashville.
It's a mess right now.
Mhm.
Let's see, what questions did I have? I had a bunch, but I couldn't write them down. Do you have a CB radio in your truck?
Absolutely. You can't truck without a CB radio. These new people coming in the truck and they have no CB radio. They don't know what it is. They don't know how it works. And I'm like, this is very important. This is a trucker's tool. Like,
Uh-huh.
I don't know. That's just the way I was raised. So I do not truck without a CB.
So
I love
for the
that.
people who may not know, right, whether they're logistics people who don't know or just your general average Joe listening, why is it so important and what is it?
The communication. It can save you, it gives you
Mhm.
accidents up the road, reports, anything that's going on. And when you want to know what's going on, you see traffic stop, you get on the CB and you ask what's going on. Somebody's going to tell you what's going on. If you're in an area, you don't know where you're at, you just get on the CB. Hey, man, how do I get to ABC? They say, make a left, right, whoop. All right, cool.
Speed traps.
Yeah, speed
Keep you
traps.
out of
All
Oh,
that.
those
there
Yeah,
you
too.
go.
absolutely.
I wish I
Absolutely.
had a CB in my car. My grandpa, he retired at 77, and I took a picture of him. It was like a couple months after he was carrying around a handheld CB radio.
Mhm,
I said, you can take the man out of the truck, but you can't take the trucking out of the man.
mhm. But
He
yeah,
had it in his back pocket. It's funny.
yeah.
That's fun.
But yeah, I was just raised, and I know that a lot of these newer guys, they just wasn't raised with CBs. So, but it's great if you use it, and I always want to use, I always want to know what's going on,
Mhm.
up the road, because it could be a hazard up there. I need to know. So in case I got to get off and go around and stuff like that. So that's it.
Gotcha.
And
You
warn
get
other
on.
drivers of what's going on.
Yeah.
Hmm. Yep. You see a wreck up there, you tell guys, hey man, back it down going eastbound. You got a broke down four-wheeler, woo, 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 and just to let people know. That's just what we do. That's what truckers are supposed to do, communicate, help each other out. But it changed. It's, man,
I
everybody got their
remember
music on.
And we got
one
the
of the
music on, you
stories
said?
one of the stories my dad told me, this is before cell phones. He was, I don't know, Oklahoma, Texas, somewhere. He was hauling cattle, and it was Christmas Eve, and there were a bunch of them together, and one person started playing Christmas music, and they all just drove together listening to Christmas music. And it's funny and it's sweet. And then I think about them not being home with their families on Christmas, and it also makes me want to cry, but I'm not going to do that.
Mhm.
But yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
the
Yeah. It
brotherhood
get,
for
yeah.
sure.
Trucking is rough. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
So,
Yep.
so
But
why do people not have the CB radios now? Of course, you've got cell phones, this and that, but it sounds like the CB radios have that own like internal network of like, this is what's
I
up, this
just,
is what I need.
I just think it's just the time that they just wasn't brought up with it,
Yeah.
just a lot of the older school guys use it. And so I'm actually shocked when I see young guys using them. And, you see some young guys, but they just wasn't raised with it. And now, you get a lot of the laws now changed a lot where you can't touch things, you can't touch your
Oh,
phone.
true.
I want you to touch your CB. So you got to be careful with that. But hey, I can't touch the CB, but I can listen to it. Now, and if I come to a stop, I can warn you or whatever, but they don't want us to touch the phone or the CB. They want their hand on the wheel. That's just the way trucking is now.
And that's interesting because I get where they're coming from with the no, because like you don't want to be on a phone because you're looking at a screen. It's the equivalent of driving
Hmm.
with a .08. But the CB, it's like you're doing this, right? And if you drop
Hmm.
it, I guess maybe you do something stupid, go get it. But still, like you're
Hmm.
not looking. It's more again, it's just a communication. So
Hmm.
I don't know. It sounds silly to me, and just from you explaining it, I feel like if I was a driver, I'd have one because I'd want to know
I
what's
mean,
up with
yeah,
all my other guys
I,
out there,
I,
guys and
I
girls.
wouldn't want to truck without one. I'm just so used to having it. I couldn't, I feel when I got to get in somebody else's truck and run it and they don't have a CB, I don't, I don't even feel right. I'm like, damn.
So you're naked, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Hmm. Yeah,
Gosh.
it just makes it easier, man. Like for anybody, you go to a shipper receiver. Hey, man, where you checking at? Oh, just go down there. Like it just make things easy, man. Just pick up the
Mm-hmm.
bike. Somebody's going to let you know.
Mm-hmm.
Well, not so many now because a lot of people are not using it now. But every once
Sure.
in a while, you'll get a guy that'll answer. Be like, oh man, somebody's woke. Hmm.
Yeah, there you go. They're ready. See,
Yep.
do you almost think that like they're more seasoned or like you trust them a little bit more if they've got one?
Yeah. Yeah.
Your
Yeah.
level of comfort.
Yep.
Oh
Absolutely.
gosh.
Absolutely.
Good stuff. So
Yep.
back to your daughter a little bit.
Mhm.
What are some of the things that you felt you had to instill in her? And maybe this is also for folks who want to get into driving. Like, what are some of those main things you made sure she just knew, like do's and don'ts?
Uh, of course, doing the kind of work we do is don't take chances. Don't guess. And the product we're hauling, even before you even load the product, because it gets very expensive. Like the job is not hard, but it's very detailed. So
Hmm.
one wrong button when you're trying to load product can cost the company thousands of dollars if you pick the wrong
Wow.
product and load it into the tank. It could get very expensive. So you just got to be, on your game when it comes to that. And then the safety part, like I said, just always take your time. Don't rush. We get paid by the hour. You shouldn't be rushing. You shouldn't be speeding for nothing. You shouldn't be trying to pass anybody. Just take your time. Just get in the right lane and cruise. That's it. And you'll get there safely.
It's
That's
probably
it.
easier too because you're not long over the road, right? You didn't pick up in Pennsylvania and have to get to Florida by Tuesday, right? Like
Yeah. Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
going around the block. I mean, what's the
Pretty
furthest
much.
you'll do in an evening, mileage wise?
Mileage wise, if I do 300 miles, that's a lot of miles for me. If I do
For sure.
300 miles in a night, because usually I'm right around 225, 250. Everything is short. Like I'll do anywhere from 3 to 5 loads a night,
3 to
just
5.
back
Wow.
and forth. Hmm.
So if you go to one truck stop, is that the whole tank?
Yeah, the whole tank. Yeah. When you
Okay.
load it up, when we load these tanks up, most of the time they go to one store. We don't split
Interesting.
them, with multiple stores. Nope. The whole load goes to one store. And these stores pump out so much fuel, I could pretty much sit at one store all night, just back and forth.
I believe it.
Yeah.
I believe it.
Hmm. Yep.
So,
But yeah, they
huh.
move a lot of fuel.
Yeah, so I
Mhm.
mean, it's interesting too because you don't notice it. I definitely don't notice it now in Chicago. I think my truck that I spent all this money on sits in a parking spot, right? And I go to the gas station occasionally, but I
Mhm.
don't really, you don't really think about how many times someone has to deliver to a busy, gas station. You're saying you could go back and forth every night. Are you saying that you could just have somebody pretty much hitting that every single day, and that would be
Every day.
dumping an entire tank every single day?
Every single day. I've done it multiple times. I could just take 3, 4 loads to the same store, just back and forth. Like I could drop, I usually haul around 7,700 gallons. I could drop 7,700 gallons at a store, and it's like a 2.5 hour turn. Come back, they will blow through that whole load in
Wow.
2.5 hours and just go right back and do it again.
And this is at night. You haul
Yeah,
over.
this is at night. This is at night. Hmm.
So
And
that's
remember,
not.
these truck stops are open 24/7. We don't close for nothing.
Mhm.
Like we're
Can't.
always open.
Can't.
We
Yeah.
can't. Yeah, so we got to go.
That's crazy.
It
That's so.
absolutely is.
You said 77,000,
No,
Yeah.
7,700.
7,700 gallons.
Hmm.
Hmm.
That's still so much.
That's
Yeah.
so much fuel.
Yeah.
Oh man.
So
I
it's
guess I need to get
same
into
thing
selling
over and
fuel.
over and over.
Shoot, I'm in the wrong business.
Yes,
We all
exactly.
I
are.
know a guy.
There you
knows
go.
a
She
guy.
said she knows a guy. There you
I'm not
go.
surprised. Danielle seems to know
Yep.
people.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
You got to do. You got to get out there and meet people, man.
That's
Yeah.
right.
So
Yeah.
if you wanted to leave with one thing that you wanted people to know outside of what you do, one message to anybody that's listening to this, or to anybody that's getting into it, or one thing that's kind of an ethos for you, right, to share to kind of
Mhm.
end on a high note, what would that be?
Come do fuel. If you want consistent money,
Bring it all around.
you want a lifestyle, right? Where you can be home, wife, kids, whatever, vacations, like we get I take multiple vacations a year, you get
Nice.
so much time off. Like, what else you
You're a
want,
regular
man?
employee. Yeah.
Yeah.
And if we
Your
look at
money's going to be
fuel,
consistent.
if we look
Mhm.
at fuel as a commodity, it's not something that people are not going to need.
Right.
And when I say fuel, I mean like fuel, like diesel fuel. Gas,
Mhm.
I look down on the gas haulers. I poke fun at them. I'm a
Why is
fuel
that?
hauler.
Why is
So it's
that?
different.
Why you look down on the
Because
gas
No,
hauler?
there's a
I don't know.
divide.
Yeah,
It's
but
just a little back and
if
forth we have going.
trucks don't
Yeah.
have fuel,
Mhm.
Actually, that's not a thing. Trucks are going to have fuel. That's why it's a consistent
Mhm.
job.
Because trucks move all the products that we need,
Yeah,
right?
everything.
Yes.
So
Mhm.
they need the fuel. I got the fuel for you. You know what I'm saying? So if you want to get the groceries in the store, you're going to need the fuel. You know, if
Mhm.
whatever you need, you're going to need fuel.
Oh man, I love it.
You know, even
Love
to
it.
get the gas in your car, the fuel truck's got to bring it there. Like, you know what I'm saying?
True,
So
true. Yeah, yeah, yeah. The
yeah,
diesel fuel's got to get it. Good
yeah.
stuff. What?
Hmm.
Hey, Dirty Broke Man, this has been fantastic. Paul or Danielle, you got
Hey,
anything else for my man before
appreciate y'all
we
having me
let
on.
him go?
No, I appreciate you coming. I really do.
Absolutely.
Thanks for having me. And a shout out for Kiersey, man. Salute to her, my homegirl there.
Absolutely. She was so great for us on that first
Hmm. Yeah,
conversation.
she's
And
dope, man.
she's great. Yeah, some funny
Hmm.
stories. And Lonnie, one more time, tell the folks where they can find you so they can get onto your channel.
Hey, just put in DB215 and you'll see me. So come on over, hang out with me. I do live feeds. I do pretty much what you guys do, interview different people, but
Mhm.
particularly fuel haulers, but not exclusively. Anybody could come tell their story. You know, we
You'll let a
just,
gas hauler on there?
yeah, absolutely. We'll let anybody on. We'll let anybody on. We'll
Yeah,
let anybody
God,
on.
he'll
You
let
know,
him on. He
You'll let
might
him
not think that
no,
highly of him.
we're gonna
You know,
jab
poke
you
at
now.
him.
We're gonna
Yeah,
jab you.
gonna
Hey,
jab you. Gonna jab
if
you.
you're hauling regular freight, we're gonna get on your ass. Like that's what we do. You know what I'm saying?
Because without DB, you don't
If you
have
don't do
anything.
something specialized, the only way you don't get picked on over here if you do something specialized. I don't care what it is. If you're doing flatbed, step deck, RGN,
Yeah.
fuel, any kind of tanker, we're not going to pick on you. If you're hauling a box, a reefer box, or a dry box, we're on your ass. Okay. I'm just saying.
Wait, so before we
So,
go, now I have to
uh-huh.
know what's at the top and what's at the bottom when it comes
Yeah,
to
give us the tiers.
equipment. Like, what would you, just to leave on a high note here? I know we said we were going to leave, but what would you say is like at the absolute
Encore.
top? Like, man, if I could do anything, that's better than what I'm doing. And then what's all the way at the bottom where you're like, I wouldn't do that if you offered me all the money.
For me
I think I could guess.
personally, I am an end dumper. Like I love end dump. The only thing with end dump is the inconsistency in the work. That's why I don't do it.
What's that?
But pulling an end dump trailer,
Oh, okay.
you know, a trailer that dumps,
Oh, gotcha,
you know,
gotcha.
you
Yeah,
put
yeah.
product in it, you get loaded up, you just go somewhere and you dump it. Like
Okay.
that's my thing. That's what I love to do. That's what I started out doing, and I love to do that. But you know, hauling fuel's okay.
And then the
That's
bottom, you
just the
got the
most
dry
consistent.
vents.
Yeah, that's the dry van. Yeah, you pulling the dry by ass. Yeah. Ugh. Oof.
We'll bleep that part out for Kiersey.
There's
Nah.
Oh
some
man.
out there that are just going, what?
Oh, she knows. She knows how I feel about it. She knows.
No, of course, of course.
Yeah.
Well, hey man, good stuff. Thanks
But we
again
all
so
need each
much.
other though. So it's
We
all in
do.
fun, man.
We do.
I can't do what I do without dry van guys, without
Yeah.
refrigerator guys. Like I need them all. I need because they need the fuel, so I need them. So it's just
Facts.
fun.
It's all a team. Absolutely.
Yep. Yep.
Well, hey man, thanks again so much. Appreciate your time.
Okay. Yeah.
All right.
Appreciate y'all for having me
Hey,
on.
thanks. We'll see you.
All right.